Hello, and welcome back to the crash course on writing technical reports in Microsoft Word. So we are now on the fourth lesson for this chapter. After this lesson, you will actually now be ready to write and format a scientific report. So this lesson will talk about how to deal with tables, equations, and figures in a Microsoft Word document. So the objectives for this lesson are the following. So at the end of the lesson, you'll be able how to insert. You will be able to know how to insert a table, equation, or figure in Microsoft Word. So I know you maybe already know how to insert a table, equation, or figure, but do you know how to insert these things without them changing the format or disturbing the format of your file? And we'll do that here. We'll try to fix that one. So you will also know how to insert captions, such as table title, the title of a table, or the number of an equation, equation number, or the caption of a figure. And lastly, you will learn how to cross-reference or cite tables, equations, and figures. So you most of the time you encounter this one, use reference a figure, you see figure 1, see figure 2, see figure 3. And in a similar thing with references, if you don't cite your tables or if you don't cross-reference your tables, equations, and figures, if you add a new table or if you add a new equation or if you add a new figure, then everything will change. The numbering will change. So Microsoft takes care of that. Microsoft Word takes care of that only if you cite or reference your table. Oh, sorry. So let's now go directly to our document. So this is now the status of our document. We now have generated a table of contents. We applied headers, we applied styles, we inserted section and page breaks. We have generated table of contents. We have generated the references. You already know how to cite a reference, a source, or your reference. So in here, we will start with the table. So let's start with by inserting a table. Okay, where's our chapter 1? So I'm gonna navigate to chapter 1. Okay, suppose I insert a table here. So I go to sorry, table, add a table. Say I will just say small table. Okay, now a table should have a title. I guess most of you uh, place the title outside of the table. So that's not a good practice. So the title of the table should be within the table. In fact, it should be the top row of the table. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna merge these three top rows here. So we'll go to layout and then merge cells. And this will be the location of the title of our table. Now, since there are still borders here, let's go to table tools, design, borders, and then click no borders. So there's no more border in the top row. And then add a bottom border so that you will place your table title here. So we'll just format this. So go back to home. Let's try to have a center formatting. Actually, there's also a formatting here. We go to tables, tools, tapos layout, and say choose this one, align center. So the title is now align center. And maybe let's remove the double spacing. Tables don't necessarily need double spacing in tables. So I'm just gonna select the whole table and click this one. This is the spacing. And click to 1. Okay. So this is now our table. Now, I'm now gonna add a title to the table. And the title of the table should have something like table 1.2, table 1.3. And it should include the chapter number and then table number. If it's the first table in chapter 1, then it should be 1.1. If it's the second table in chapter 1, then it should be 1.2. If it's the second table in chapter 3, it should be table 3.2. Okay. So what we'll do is go to references tab, and then this one. This is the section of the references wherein you need to insert your wherein you will insert your caption. So the table title is still considered a caption. Insert caption. So you can choose what's the label here. It can be table, it can be figure, it can be equation. So let's select table. Now, if you have a new caption, for instance, you just define a new label. So actually, the EQ here, I already defined the EQ here, EQ dot for equation. So we'll just use table, for instance. But again, if you have a different label or caption name, then click this one, add new label. So just click that one above selected items, and then numbering. The numbering format is 1, 2, 3. Include chapter number, and chapter starts with heading. So our chapter heading is actually heading number 2. So you need to click that one, because if you don't click that one, you will notice that you will get table 0.1. There's a 0 because it doesn't recognize any chapter heading. So our chapter heading for this document is actually heading 2. So we will use heading 2. The separator is period. There are different separators actually. So this is the separator for the chapter number and the table number. So 1.1, or you can also use 1-1 if you want, depending on your format. So say we use the period separator. Okay. So this is how our table title will look like. And then okay. Okay, so you will notice that the caption is generated out of the table. You'll just copy this, Control X, and then paste it here. Cut and then paste it here. Table 1.1. So the formatting of this is actually normal formatting. And then you can write now that the title of your table. Title of the table. Okay, so that's the title of your table. That's how you make a table with table number. So if you want to, since you already have made this table, if you want to make another table, just copy paste it. So the succeeding tables, figures, and equations will now be easier because you just have to copy and paste. So select the table by clicking this icon. Select and then Control C and say add another table. So you have another table here. Control V. So you will notice that it's still table 1.1, but if you update that one, print preview, again, oh, it now works. So I guess it only works in captions, the print preview. And I guess you can also right click and then update field. This is now the second table, table 1.2. That one. If you insert a table next to it, it will become table 1.3. If you insert a table before this table, then that table becomes 1.1 and this table becomes 1.2. And all you need to do is just to update it. Now, let's now go to cross-referencing. So for cross-referencing, say you say see table so blank for more details. And what I'm gonna put or place in this blank here is the table reference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to references. I'm gonna click this one, cross reference. So click that one, and then the reference type is, it can be a heading, a bookmark, but we will choose table because we are trying to reference or cross reference a table. And then that's the default. Insert as hyperlink, and then only label a number. click only label a number and choose. There are now two tables here, so you choose which table you want to reference. So say this the table 1.1. Table 1.1, you insert that one, and then that's it. See table 1.1 for more details. So actually, you will notice control plus click to follow the link. So you control and then you click this one to follow the table, and that will navigate you to that to the page contain where the table is located. So for instance, I interchange the two tables. So Control X, I cut this table and paste this table before this table here. Say I'm gonna put this table here, for instance. It's an example. Okay. So if I update this by right-clicking update or print preview, and then go back, this is now table 1.1, and this become table 1.2, and you will notice that the reference before this is referencing to table 1.1, but after updating, it's now referencing to the same table 1.2, but the table number is already changed, so the reference also changes with it. So that is the advantage if you cross-reference your table, or if you cite your tables. So that one. So you do the same for equations and figures. So for instance, I'm gonna insert an equation. I'm gonna do equation next. Again, the purpose of this, that you place the title within the table, so that the table title will not separate with the table itself. So similar with the equations, we will also utilize tables. So for an equation, let's insert a table first. So it's just a 2x1 table. So this is where you place your equation. This is where you place your equation number in the second cell. Okay. So I'm just gonna format it to no spacing. Single spacing. Okay. The first cell should be formatted. Go to layout, table tools layout, and then it should be formatted align center. This one. And for the equation number, it should be align center right. So say I insert an equation here. So go to insert equation, and say this equation, for instance. And then I place the number here. So same thing, same process. Go to references, insert caption. Our label now is equation. In equation, you can actually define a new label. So like this, I define a new label EQ, but it actually doesn't matter, because usually in equations, you actually exclude the label from the caption. And in the numbering, you don't include the chapter number usually for equations. But it depends. Again, it depends on what format. But in our format, in theoretical physics format, the thesis, usually don't include the chapter number. So that one. So it doesn't matter if EQ or equation, anyway, you exclude the label. So it's just the number. And then press OK. So it will generate out of the equation table. So I'm just gonna cut Control X and I'm gonna paste it here. Control V. And usually we add an open and close parenthesis in the equation number. So I'm just gonna select this table and go to table tools, layout, design, borders, no borders. So that one, this equation number is aligned right. This is aligned center. So it now looks like an actual equation in a book or in a paper, and it's a table format. Again, you want to make another equation, just copy paste your first equation. So Control C. If you make an equation before this equation, so this equation should now become equation 2, and the equation that you placed before that should be equation 3. I'll say equation 1. Sorry, the new equation 1. For instance, I insert the equation here. Control V. So this should be the new equation. I can actually adjust the size of the table if I need additional space. between the text and the table, so like that. You can also do the same for the table and the figures. That one, I can adjust the size of the table so that there will be some space before and after the text. Okay. You will notice that it's still equation 1, but if I print preview or update the field, right click update or click print preview, it now becomes, the first equation that we make is now equation 2. And again, for referencing, we do the same. We say equation blank refers to blah 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 blah. And say I'm gonna refer to this equation. So I'm gonna insert a citation here. So, or a cross-reference. So cross-reference, and this time no longer table, but it's an equation. So make sure to get the label. So this is equation 2. I'm gonna click equation 2 here, and only the label and number, and then insert. So you will notice it's still missing a second parenthesis, so just place the second parenthesis. Again, for instance, if I delete, notice that this reference, sorry, where's that? This reference refers to this equation, and at the moment, it's referring to equation 2. So, for instance, I delete the first equation. If I delete the first equation, then that equation, this should now go back to equation 1. And the reference should go back to equation 1. I can update, so right click update or print preview, and then go back. You will notice that it now goes back to equation 1. And it's now equation 1. So that's the advantage of citing or cross-referencing your tables and equations. Now for the last part, the figures. Okay, so most of you, I guess, don't know how to insert a figure with the caption, and the only way to do that again is by tables, because if your figure and your caption are in one table, then they will not be separated whenever your document, say, gets very long or gets reformatted. So for instance, I want to insert a figure here, so I'm gonna insert a table, and this time it's a 1x2 table. And guess I'm gonna remove the double space, so single space lang. So I'm gonna insert a figure. So for the upper part, it should be aligned, or the layout should be center, and for the lower part, for the upper part, it should be bottom center, and for the lower part, it should be actually, it depends. The caption, actually, for a figure, it depends on how long is the caption. If the caption is only one line, then it should be centered. But if the caption is multiple lines, it should be justified. So that's the basic rule in figure captions. So say I'm gonna insert a figure here. So insert a picture from this device. Where are my pictures? Screenshot. Oh, it's too long. Where are my pictures? Pictures. Okay, I have a lot of pictures here. Say this one. Okay, this is my picture here, and this is my figure caption here. So again, what I'm gonna do is insert a caption. So references, insert caption, but this time I'm gonna choose figure. So as in contrast to equations where you exclude the label, here you include the label, and for the numbering, you include the chapter number. And again, don't forget, if you include the chapter number, it should match the chapter style heading of your chapter. So in our case, it's heading 2. Because if you don't choose heading 2, if you just use the default heading 1, you will get 0.1, figure 0.1. So heading 2, separators period, so I guess that's okay. That one. So this is the caption now. I'm gonna cap this, Control X, I'm gonna paste it in the caption box. I'm just gonna do normal. Okay. In figures, there are some cases that the figures the figure caption is a lower font, has a lower font size, is in a lower font size. So it depends on your document. So if that is the case, you apply a new heading. Say there's actually a heading here called captions. Where's that one? This one, caption. The caption heading. You can actually apply that heading style and modify that one. So right click, modify to say Times New Roman, say 10. It's not italic, it's still black. It depends on if justified or center, it depends. And it should be single space. No, the caption should not be double space. Okay, that on figure 1.1. So this is the caption of the figure. If it only one line, then it should be centered. But if it's multiple lines, then it should be justified. So it should be justified if it's only one line. And similar with what you did in equations and tables, you select the whole table by clicking this icon and then remove the borders. Design, borders, no borders. You will notice that it's just an equation, a figure with captions. That one. Figure 1.1. Okay. So the same thing with equations and tables. Just copy paste. If you want to create a new table, a new figure, you copy paste it, and then don't forget to cross reference, to refer to the table. Again, don't put a table, an equation, or don't put a table, an equation, or a figure in your thesis or scientific reports in general if you're not referencing to it. If you're not going to say see figure 1 or see equation 1 or see table 1. If you're not gonna say that, then don't include the table. The basic rule is you always have to reference or cite your tables, equations, and figures. Okay. Did I miss something? Okay, that's for the cross-referencing. Let's now go to creating list of figures, list of tables, or list of equations. So I'm just gonna demonstrate a list of figures. Yeah, but I only have one figure. Okay, I'm gonna copy paste the figures. Where's that one? This is the first figure. Say I'm gonna copy paste that one. I'm gonna insert a new figure, say here. So this should be figure 1.2 now if I update it. It's not figure 1.2. And again, I cross-reference. I'm no longer gonna do that because this is just a demonstration, but you must always cross-reference your figures. So let's now go to creating a list of figures, list of tables. So I'm just gonna demonstrate how to create a list of figures. Why is there a the style should just be normal, not a head. Okay. So you go to references and then insert table of figures. So you choose here if you want to make a list of equations, a list of figures, or a list of tables. The process is just the same. So say we want to have a list of figures. Okay. So the defaults you just accept the defaults. And then let's modify the text. So we use Times New Roman 12. It's not bold. It's black. Justified. Should only be single space. It should be only single space, but must add a space between each figure number or figure caption. And then OK. So click OK, and when I click this OK, the table will now be generated. So this is now the list of figures or table of figures. So figure 1, figure 1.2, they have the same caption. Actually, I didn't edit them. And there's the page number, the page where you can find the figure. You can actually control plus click to follow the link. So similar with the table of contents, you can control plus click to follow the links in the list of figures. Control and then click, and it will take you to the table. So that's the advantage of having a list of figures. So the navigation is only a link to the headings, to the chapters, topics, or subtopics. If you want a link to the figures, you must generate a list of figures. So you can go directly to that figure anytime in the document. So that's it. So I guess that's it for this lesson. So basically, after this lesson, you can now format your scientific report or your thesis. You can now format them easily. So you can now insert citations from your references, insert figures, and again, if you insert a figure, make sure to reference or cite that figure. See figure 1 or see figure 2, and that's just easy to do in Microsoft. So I will see you again in the last 2 lessons, which will actually be optional if you don't want to watch it, but it's these are slightly advanced lessons. So I will see you again in the next lessons.